My name is Megan, and I will be presenting this educational intervention titled Improve Health Through Understanding Nutrition Labels. The objectives for this presentation include to introduce the nutrition label and the information found within, to present information on how to understand and use nutrition labels, as well as information on each nutrient included on the nutrition label to enhance the learner's knowledge, to educate how an unhealthy diet can lead to chronic health conditions, and to provide recommendations for healthy eating habits. The Nutrition Facts Label is a daily tool utilized in making informed food choices when choosing packaged foods and beverages. Calories are the total number of energy that is supplied from all sources in one serving of food. One can achieve or maintain body weight based on the number of calories you eat and drink with the number of calories your body uses. 2,000 calories per day is the general rule. 100 calories per serving is considered moderate, whereas 400 calories per serving is considered high. Servings per container is the total number of servings in the package of food. One package of food can contain more than one serving. Serving size is based on the amount of food that is usually eaten at one time. It is not a recommendation of how much to eat. Typically, the nutrition information listed is based on one serving, but some can have information shown per package. Serving size can be shown in different measurements, followed by the amount in grams. Total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, sodium, total carbohydrate, dietary fiber, total sugars, added sugars, protein, vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium are all mandatory nutrients that are listed on the Nutrition Facts label. There are also optional nutrients that can be listed on the nutrition label, which are listed here. This section can be used to monitor the nutrients you want to get more or less of. Percentage of the daily value presents the amount of a nutrient in a serving of food that contributes to a total daily diet. The vertical column of percent of daily value does not add to 100%, but is instead the percent daily value for each nutrient in a serving of food. If some nutrients do not have a percent daily value, use the number of grams to compare foods. 5% daily value or less of a nutrient is considered low, whereas 20% of daily value or more of a nutrient is considered high. For example, the daily value for cholesterol is less than 300 milligrams per day. If one serving of food contains 35 milligrams of cholesterol, then the percent daily value for cholesterol is 12%. This means that the food contains 12% of the maximum amount of cholesterol that an average person should eat in an entire day. Total fat can be found in plants and animals and includes saturated fat, trans fat, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fat. Fat provides energy for the body. If the body doesn't use the energy immediately, the fat stores the excess energy. Fat is used as a secondary energy source once the carbohydrate calories are used up. Fat is important because it is necessary for proper growth and development, helps the body absorb important fat-soluble vitamins, supports body processes like blood clotting, nervous system function, reproduction, and immune response, maintaining healthy skin and hair, and provides taste and consistency in food. Dietary fat has more than 2 times the calories per gram compared to carbohydrates or proteins, so fat calories can add up quickly. The daily value for total fat is 78 grams per day. Saturated fat is found in higher proportions of animal products. One exception is seafood. The human body makes all the saturated fat needed, which means it is unnecessary to get saturated fat from food. Saturated fat can be found in the following foods. The daily value for saturated fat is 20 grams per day. Saturated fat is a nutrient that should be consumed less. Trans fat is an unsaturated fat, but is different structurally than unsaturated fat that naturally occurs in plant foods, has damaging health effects, and is not an essential nutrient in the diet. There are 2 forms of trans fat. Naturally forming trans fat is found in small amounts of animal products. Artificially forming trans fat is formed during the processing of foods found in partially hydrogenated oils. Use the number of grams to compare and choose foods because trans fat has no daily value. Cholesterol is found in all cells of the body as a waxy fat-like substance. It is produced by the liver primarily and is also consumed from food. It is not necessary to get cholesterol from food because the body produces all the cholesterol it needs. Cholesterol is a structural component of cell membranes. It is necessary for the production of bile, and it is used to make vitamin D and hormones. Dietary cholesterol is only found in animal products and can be found in the following foods listed below. Low-density lipoprotein cholesterol is bad, whereas high-density lipoprotein cholesterol is good. The daily value for cholesterol is less than 300 milligrams per day. Even though salt and sodium are used interchangeably, they actually are not the same thing. Salt is a crystalline compound which is plentiful in nature. Sodium is a mineral and is one of the chemical elements which is found in salt. Approximately 11% of dietary sodium comes from adding salt to food when one is cooking or eating. Over 70% of dietary sodium comes from eating packaged and prepared foods. Half of the sodium consumed by Americans comes from these foods listed here. Sodium is an essential nutrient needed by the human body in small amounts. It helps with fluid balance, muscle contraction, and nervous system functioning. Sodium is also a food ingredient used for many different purposes. The daily value for sodium is less than 2,300 milligrams per day, which equals about 1 teaspoon of salt, and it is a nutrient that should be consumed less. Total carbohydrates are found primarily in plant foods except for dairy products and includes dietary fiber, total and added sugars, and sugar alcohols. Total carbohydrates provide energy for the body. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose by the human body, allowing the glucose to provide energy to the body's cells, tissues, and organs. Glucose is the prime energy source and can be used immediately or stored in the liver and muscles to be used at a later time. The daily value for total carbohydrates is 275 grams per day. Dietary fiber is made up of many sugar molecules that are linked together and is a carbohydrate that is not easily digested by the small intestine. Soluble dietary fiber dissolves in water and forms a thick gel-like substance in the stomach that is broken down in the large intestine by bacteria and can provide calories. Insoluble dietary fiber cannot be dissolved in water, can pass through the GI tract intact, and is not a source of calories. Both can make you feel full, which could lower your calorie intake and stay content longer. Dietary fiber foods can be found here. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends limiting the intake of refined grains along with products made with refined grains and consuming at least half of grains as whole grains. The daily value for dietary fiber is 28 grams per day. Dietary fiber is a nutrient that should be consumed more. Sugars are the simplest and smallest type of carbohydrate that is very easily digested and absorbed by the body. Natural sugars are present in the food naturally. The natural sugars in this nutrition label is 6 grams. Added sugars are added into the food during processing. The added sugars in this nutrition label is 1 gram. Sugar is used to sweeten, preserve, and improve the functional attributes of foods and beverages. The daily value for added sugars is less than 50 grams per day. Added sugars should be consumed less. Protein can be found in foods from both plants and animals and is made up of 20 different amino acids. Essential amino acids are required for normal body functioning but can only be obtained from food because the body cannot make them. The body can make non-essential amino acids from essential amino acids that are consumed in food or in the normal breakdown of body proteins. Protein can be found in foods listed here. Protein is important because it provides energy for the body. It is a component of every cell in the body and is necessary for proper growth and development, helps the body build and repair cells and body tissue, is a major part of skin, hair, nails, muscle, bone, and internal organs, and is also important for many body processes. The daily value for protein is 50 grams per day. Vitamins are organic substances that occur naturally in plant and animal products. The human body can produce vitamin D and vitamin K. Vitamin D is a mandatory vitamin present on the nutrition label. Minerals are inorganic substances that can be found in soil and water naturally. They are absorbed by plants, then are obtained by people who eat the plants and animal products. Calcium, iron, and potassium are mandatory minerals present on the nutrition label. Vitamins and minerals can be found in the following foods. Vitamins and minerals promote growth, development, and normal body functioning. The daily value for vitamin D is 20 micrograms per day. For calcium, 1,300 milligrams per day. for iron 18 milligrams per day, and for potassium 4,700 milligrams per day. Vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium should be consumed more. A diet high in cholesterol, saturated fat, meats, and processed poultry, added sugars, total fat, and trans fat can lead to cardiovascular disease. A diet high in dietary fiber can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. A diet high in sodium can lead to hypertension or high blood pressure. A diet high in potassium can reduce the risk of hypertension. Increased consumption of refined grains, added sugars, trans fat, and protein and processed red meat can lead to type 2 diabetes mellitus. Increased consumption of trans fat, saturated fat, sugar, and cholesterol found in foods can lead to hypercholesterolemia or high cholesterol. Consuming more calories than the daily recommendations, consumption of foods that are high in sugars, an overall poor diet, and a lack in physical activity can lead to overweight or obesity. A diet low in vitamin C and calcium can lead to osteoporosis, and a diet low in iron can lead to anemia. Listed here are healthy tips to improve eating habits and food choices. For sources of protein, choose fish, plant sources, and unsalted nuts and seeds. Instead of processed meats, choose fresh meats, poultry, or seafood. Trim or drain the fat from meats and poultry before or after cooking prior to consumption. Try fat-free or 1% low-fat dairy products instead of whole or 2%. Cook and bake with canola or olive oil instead of butter or shortening. Try low sodium or no salt added foods, as well as unsweetened or no sugar added foods. Choose foods like beans, peas, fruits, vegetables, whole grains that do not contain cholesterol. Choose vegetables and fruits as snacks. Use fruits instead of syrups or sugars to top foods. Make half of your grains whole grains and limit refined grains. Try baking, boiling, grilling, or steaming foods. Try making your own dressings with vinegar and oil. Limit the consumption of processed foods and prepare your own food. Choose water instead of energy drinks, fruit drinks, soft drinks, and sports drinks. These websites are additional FDA resources that can provide more information about nutrition labels. Thank you for watching this educational intervention. At this time, please complete the post-test using the link to the left or by scanning the QR code to the right.